Learn English. Elena often dreamed of speaking English fluently, especially with a clear British accent. However, a wave of apprehension always washed over her. She felt her tongue tie, her vocabulary scatter, and her confidence plummet. The idea of forming coherent sentences seemed an insurmountable mountain, shrouded in a thick fog of self-doubt and fear. Her initial attempts to learn were sporadic, filled with grammar books and forgotten apps. She understood the importance of consistent effort, but found it hard to sustain. The sheer vastness of the English language felt overwhelming, making her feel small and inadequate. She longed for a clear, actionable path forward. One afternoon, she stumbled upon a community forum discussing language acquisition. A thread emphasized the profound impact of improving listening skills. Listen, 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 it advised, before you even think about speaking. This simple yet powerful revelation sparked a new flicker of hope within her. Elena decided to immerse herself in British English. She began her journey with podcasts featuring delightful British narrators discussing everyday life, history, and science. The varied accents, intonations, and expressions slowly started to register, becoming less of a blur and more distinct sounds. She listened while cooking, cleaning, and commuting. Her ears gradually tuned in, picking up new words and common phrases. The rhythm and melody of the language started to feel familiar. It was like learning a new song, first appreciating the tune, then recognizing the lyrics. This continuous exposure built a passive understanding, a foundation she hadn't realized was so crucial. She wasn't consciously trying to memorize words yet, just absorbing the sounds. It felt less like studying and more like enjoying herself, which made the process surprisingly pleasant and sustainable. After several weeks of dedicated listening, a subtle shift occurred. Words she had only heard before now occasionally popped into her mind, almost unbidden. She recognized grammatical structures without actively analyzing them. Her brain was silently working, making connections. The next critical step was speaking, a prospect that still made her stomach churn. The forum had offered another piece of invaluable advice: start talking at home. This seemed less daunting than conversing with a real person, providing a safe, judgment-free zone. Her first attempts were awkward whispers, descriptions of her morning coffee, or the weather outside. She felt silly talking to herself, but persevered. These initial forays were essential for breaking the silence, for giving her voice permission to use English words aloud. She designated a specific English talking practice time each day. During these sessions, she would narrate her actions, describe objects around her room, or even recount her day's events. It was clumsy, hesitant, but it was progress. Her mouth and tongue were getting accustomed. Sometimes she would record herself, then play it back. This was a cringe-inducing exercise initially, highlighting every mispronunciation and awkward pause. However, it also allowed her to objectively identify areas for improvement, turning self-consciousness into constructive analysis. She also began to mimic sentences from her favorite British shows. Pausing a scene, repeating the dialogue with the same intonation and speed. This shadowing technique helped her internalize natural speech patterns, improving her pronunciation and rhythm significantly over time. Elena then searched for resources on how to learn English more effectively. She discovered that active recall and spaced repetition were powerful tools. She started incorporating flashcards for new vocabulary she encountered during her listening and speaking practice. This combination of listening, self-speaking, and targeted vocabulary learning accelerated her progress. The previously disjointed pieces of the English puzzle slowly began to fit together, forming a clearer picture. Her confidence, though still fragile, was growing steadily. The next hurdle was engaging with others. How to improve your English discussions often emphasized finding speaking partners. The thought of interacting with a native speaker filled her with a familiar dread, but she knew it was a necessary step for authentic communication. She started by joining online language exchange communities. Her first few interactions were nerve-wracking. Her voice trembled, and her mind went blank more often than not. Yet, the patient encouragement from her partners helped her push through the initial discomfort. Her first partner, Liam, was from Manchester and had a delightful, clear accent. He was incredibly patient, correcting her gently and encouraging her to speak more. Their conversations started simple, discussing hobbies and daily routines, building a comfortable rapport. "Listen English," Liam would often say, reminding her that even during speaking, listening actively was paramount. He encouraged her to ask clarifying questions, not just to understand, but to demonstrate engagement and deepen the conversation flow naturally. Elena found that asking, "Let's talk in British English," with her partners helped set the expectation. Many were happy to oblige, providing her with the specific accent exposure she desired. This focused practice was proving immensely beneficial for her goals. She learned that it was okay to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes were essential learning opportunities. Each slip-up provided feedback, allowing her to refine her grammar and pronunciation. The fear of imperfection gradually began to subside, replaced by a willingness to try. How to speak with people became less about perfection and more about connection. She realized that people valued sincerity and effort over flawless grammar. Her conversations started flowing more naturally, albeit with occasional pauses for thought or word retrieval. She also engaged in role-playing scenarios with some partners, simulating real-life situations like ordering food, asking for directions, or discussing current events. This prepared her for practical applications, bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and actual usage effectively. Elena discovered the power of consistent small steps. "Start step-by-step talking" became her mantra. Each day, a little more listening, a little more speaking, a little more interaction. The cumulative effect of these small efforts was truly astounding over time. Her confidence soared with each successful conversation. The initial dread transformed into excitement. She looked forward to her language exchanges, seeing them as opportunities to learn and connect, rather than daunting challenges to overcome every single time. One day, she found herself in London, a trip she had planned for years. Walking through Covent Garden, she overheard snippets of conversations. To her delight, she understood almost everything, the familiar British accents now perfectly clear and comprehensible to her ears. She approached a street performer and, without hesitation, asked a question about their act. The words flowed out smoothly, her pronunciation clear, her intonation natural. The performer smiled, answering her question, and they exchanged a few more sentences effortlessly. This simple interaction was a monumental triumph. It wasn't just about understanding or being understood. It was about overcoming her deepest fears. The sense of accomplishment was exhilarating, proving that her methodical approach had yielded tangible, real-world results. From that moment on, Elena embraced every opportunity to speak English. She chatted with shopkeepers, asked for recommendations at restaurants, and engaged in lively discussions with fellow tourists. Each interaction bolstered her confidence further and refined her fluency. She realized that truly learning English wasn't just about memorizing rules, but about building muscle memory for listening and speaking. It was about consistent practice, immersing herself, and daring to be imperfect in pursuit of progress day after day. Her journey proved that anyone could achieve fluency by adopting the right strategies. Starting with immersive listening, transitioning to self-talk, and then bravely engaging with others, step by step, was the most effective pathway she had ever found. Elena's story became an inspiration to her friends who were also struggling with language learning. She shared her methodology, emphasizing the power of patience and persistence. Her transformation from shy beginner to confident speaker was remarkable to witness. She continued to fine-tune her skills, always seeking new ways to challenge herself. Attending local English meetups, watching more complex documentaries, and even reading challenging British literature became part of her routine, pushing her boundaries. The joy of connecting with people from diverse backgrounds, understanding their stories, and sharing her own became the ultimate reward. English opened up a world of opportunities, both personal and professional, that she had only ever dreamed of accessing. Her initial fear of how to improve your English transformed into a lifelong passion. The process was no longer a chore, but an exciting adventure of discovery. Each new conversation was a step further into a richer, more connected global community. She often reflected on how critical her initial focus on listening had been. It was the bedrock, allowing her brain to subconsciously map out the sounds and structures of the language before she even attempted to produce them herself, a true game changer. The start talking at home phase was equally vital, providing a safe sandbox for experimentation. It allowed her to stumble, correct herself, and build confidence without the pressure of a real audience. This private practice built solid speaking foundations. She learned to appreciate the nuances of British English, from regional accents to common idioms. The richness of the language captivated her, making her learning journey not just educational, but also culturally enriching and deeply satisfying, day by day. Every new word she acquired felt like a small victory. Every successful conversation, a significant milestone. She tracked her progress in a journal, noting down new expressions and moments of breakthrough, reinforcing her motivation to continue her efforts. Elena now actively encourages others to follow a similar path. She believes that the conventional method of starting with grammar rules often stifles enthusiasm. Instead, she advocates for a more organic approach, mimicking how children acquire their first language naturally. Her advice is always direct. Listen English constantly, even if you don't understand everything at first. Your brain will start to make sense of it over time. Patience is key, she emphasizes, alongside unwavering consistency in daily routines and exercises. She also stresses the importance of finding one's own comfort zone for practice. For some, it might be talking to pets. For others, singing along to English songs. The method matters less than the act of consistent verbalization itself, she asserts. How to learn English is not a sprint, she often tells people, but a marathon of small, continuous steps. There will be plateaus and moments of frustration, but persevering through them is what truly defines success in language acquisition and retention. Elena's transformation was a testament to the power of a systematic and disciplined approach. She had turned what once seemed impossible into a reality, demonstrating that anyone can achieve language fluency with the right mindset and dedicated effort every day. She now volunteers to help other language learners online, sharing her experiences and offering personalized tips. Her empathy for their struggles comes from her own journey, making her a relatable and effective mentor for aspiring English speakers worldwide. Her ability to speak with people across cultures and continents has enriched her life immensely. She has made friends from all corners of the globe, exchanging ideas and building bridges, all thanks to her commitment to mastering the English language. The feeling of expressing complex thoughts and emotions in a foreign language is incredibly empowering, she often reflects. It's more than just communication. It's a profound sense of personal growth and expanded identity that she cherishes deeply now. Elena continues to advocate for starting small. Start step by step talking, she reiterates. Don't wait for perfection. Imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction when learning anything new and complex. This was her core philosophy. Her story is a living example that the dream of fluent British English is attainable. It requires patience, strategic practice, and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, little by little, day after day, year after year. She encourages learners to find joy in the process itself, not just the outcome. Celebrating small victories, like understanding a complex sentence or using a new idiom correctly, keeps motivation high and the learning journey enjoyable and fulfilling. Elena's ultimate message is one of encouragement. Anyone can do it. With consistent English talking practice and a commitment to listening intently, the vast ocean of English becomes navigable, eventually leading to confident and effortless communication globally. The initial daunting question, how to improve your listening skills, evolved into a simple answer: persistent immersion. Her ears became finely tuned instruments, picking up nuances she once completely missed, transforming her comprehension entirely. Her transformation showcases how a focused approach to language learning can yield incredible results. From shy listener to confident speaker, Elena's journey is a blueprint for anyone aspiring to master English, especially with a British accent. Now, when someone asks her how to improve your English, she smiles warmly. She shares her personal anecdote, emphasizing the natural progression from listening and understanding to speaking and ultimately connecting with people universally. Her life is now richer, filled with cross-cultural friendships and experiences, all enabled by her dedication to language learning. The world truly opened up for her, proving that communication bridges every gap imaginable, effectively and joyfully. Elena's journey is a vibrant narrative of perseverance. She proved that with consistent effort and a structured approach, mastering a new language is not only achievable, but also profoundly rewarding, enriching one's life in countless unexpected ways.